This is a podcast about one woman's mission to help entrepreneurs and business owners write better business books. Each week, we tackle your writing excuses, because there are excuses too, and help you beat the blank page of doom so that you can write the book that'll grow your life and your business. Now here's your host, Vicky Fraser.
Welcome to the 1000 Authors Show. I am Vicky Quinn Fraser, and this is a reissue, a repod, if you like, of an old episode. And the reason that I am doing this right now is because it seems kind of timely, because next Thursday, the 28th of October, 2021, is Fright Night, which is basically Write Night number 4. But because it's so close to Halloween, I'm obviously calling it Fright Night because I am hilarious. Anyway, I know that a lot of people struggle to write books for many reasons. And so I wanted to reissue this podcast because I think it's just always useful. It's the 5 main reasons why writers don't write, and we will crack on with that in just a moment. But first, I just wanted to do my usual, what we're reading and what's going on. So I'm not sure what Joe's reading at the moment because he is not here right now, as you can see. But I am reading a couple of really good books. So the fiction book that I'm reading at the moment is His Only Wife by Peace Adzomedie. And that came in my Books That Matter box a couple of months ago. And I really love it. It's kind of I don't know whether it's a romance or it's kind of a love story. It's set in Ghana and it's just really cool. I'm about 2/3 of the way through, so I do not know how it's going to end, but I'm absolutely loving the main character, who is becoming sassier as the book goes on, and it's just like a bit of a mystery, and the author does a really good job of kind of keeping you guessing and wondering what's really going on throughout. And there's also a really lovely glimpse into family life and how parents can be with your best interests at heart, but also a little bit difficult. So I'm loving that. And the non-fiction book that I'm reading at the moment is Play by Dr. Stuart Brown, which was recommended to me by a friend of the podcast, Jocelyn Brady, Brain Coach. And I'm absolutely loving that as well, because I'm all about playing and having fun and bringing more joy into business and writing and books. And so I'm not very far through it yet. It's this month's Bookaholics book, and it's just absolutely fascinating and kind of just underlines all the things that I've suspected for a long time, which is that play is life and play is like crucial to creativity and productivity and just getting shit done. So yeah, that is what I am reading at the moment. Just a quick update on the dingle, because we haven't done that for a while. I grew the world's most giant, terrifying turnip. If you show up for Fright Night next Thursday, you will see it because I'm carving it. I don't know what else to do with it. We've also been... Oh my God, we've gutted the entire end of the house. We basically ripped out the ceiling, the floor, and so we've got a 2-story space up to the roof in one end of our house, which is exciting and also a little bit chilly. So we have been building the floor structure for that this weekend. Well, by the time you listen to this, we will probably be deep in amongst putting the joists up. So we are ever closer to having a proper bathroom, which is exciting. And I have been preparing for Fright Night, which you can find out about at www.moxiebooks.co.uk/Write Night. I would love to see you there. If you have any questions, drop me an email, vicky@moxiebooks.co.uk, or find me on Instagram at tinybeetlesteps. Ask me questions there. I'll be posting on Instagram a lot about this the next couple of days, FAQs and all that kind of thing. But for now, if you're thinking that you would like to write something and that maybe Fright Night would be a good opportunity to come and do so, it will be a good opportunity. I would just like to present to you the 5 reasons why writers don't write, in hopes that it will help you to crack on with it. So without further ado, here is the Repodded podcast. Yeah, so that's the updates and what we're reading at the moment. And now on to the main feature of
Checks notes.
this week's... You're not helping. You're not helping with the seamless and professional delivery.
Okay.
Now you've completely derailed my very shaky thought process.
Okay.
It's already shaky.
Crack on.
The 5 reasons writers don't write.
Would you like me to hold it here?
Yes. No. So yeah, the problem. Okay, so the thing that people tell me. What do you think the thing that people tell me most often for
Haven't got time.
Yes. haven't got time to write a book.
Got the same amount of time as everybody else.
Yeah, but I'm not being a dick about this, right? I know that some people are super, super busy, and I know some people who are super, super busy, who are in my team Moxie and all the rest of it, and they are ludicrously busy, and I literally don't know how they do it. But I also know that we make time for the things that are important to us, right?
Feeding your children, for example.
Oh, yeah.
Should make time for that.
Spending time with your partner. Spending time with just yourself and just chilling out with, like, you know, a bubble bath or an amazing vibrator or something. I don't care. But yeah, spend your time on important things. That's cool. But also, it leads me to ask people, okay, so yeah, you want to write a book, but how important is it to you to write a book? Because if it's not a priority, if it's not the priority when it comes to things that you're doing for your business, it's not going to happen, because for the reason that we make time for things that are important to us. It's why I can't play the guitar. It's why I can only strum a few chords on the guitar. It just wasn't important to me enough to put the time into it. And there's nothing wrong with that. I am absolutely not throwing shade on people who are like, I haven't got time, and they're not making time, and that's cool. But what I've actually found, this is the interesting thing, is that when I talk to people, time has got nothing to do with it. It's like you said, everybody's got the same 24 hours in a day and all the rest of it. Some of us are more busy than others. But actually, when I talk to people in a little bit more depth than just, why haven't you written a book yet? They'll start off by saying, I haven't got time. Time's never the problem. And it's really always a really interesting conversation. So I just wanted to run through the 5 main reasons that people don't write books that are buried underneath that excuse of I don't have time. Because, I mean, we all do it, right? What my go-to reason for not doing things is, I haven't got time.
Very busy.
Very busy.
No time.
And that is true. I am busy. But that's not why I don't do the thing. I don't do it for another reason. Sometimes it's just that I don't want to. But what comes out of my face is I haven't got time. Other times it's like, I don't know how, or all of that kind of thing. And then that leads on to the 5 reasons why people are not writing their books, despite what they might think, despite that they might think that went well.
Reason the 1.
Yeah, reason the 1. Okay, reason the 1.
Checks notes.
Clarity. So one of the most common reasons, once we dig into the whole I haven't got time thing, is a complete lack of clarity on what they want to write. They know they want to write a book, and they're really keen on it, and they're just like, oh, this is going to be great. I'm going to write a book for my business. I'm going to get this done. And it's going to feel really good. And they're right about all of those things. And then they sit down. They're like, I have not got time to do this. I don't know where to start. And the reason that they have not got time and don't know where to start is because they haven't really got a fully clear idea of what they want to write about. So they might be like, oh, I want to write about, say, grass, flowers. That's really broad. That's a really broad topic. Okay, so what about flowers? What about flowers do you want to write about? And it might be, I want to write about daffodils, all the many species of daffodils and what you can do with them and how you can grow them. So, okay, that's getting a bit closer. But even then, what the hell happened then?
Screensaver?
That shouldn't have happened. I'm a bit worried that this computer's going to crash. It's going to be fine.
Nice.
So, yeah, we need to narrow it down. We need to get clarity on the idea and think about why we're writing, who we're writing for, where we want to take people with the book, basically. And as soon as we get all of that nailed down, suddenly we find that we do have enough time to write the book, and we can actually sit down and start because we know what we're doing. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Cool. Reason the second. People wait for inspiration. People wait for motivation before they can take action. I need to be inspired before I can write my book. I need motivation to be able to do so. That's not how this works. And
those are not external things that are going to happen.
No. And okay, sometimes I'm not saying that you don't get ideas from outside. Of course you do. Everybody gets ideas from outside. But if you're waiting for that flash of inspiration that's going to hit you like a bolt of lightning and have you sitting down and going, oh my God, this is so great. I'm just like, words are pouring out of my head. That's not how it works. For 99.9% of writers, that is not how it works. And certainly for the non-fiction writers I've worked with. And there's this belief that we can't start until we've had this flash of inspiration.
This Damascene moment.
Yeah, and it's just unrealistic. It's romantic bollocks. And I'll come back to romantic bollocks in a minute on a bit of a tangent. But yeah, that's not how it works. So how it works is action causes inspiration, causes motivation, causes more action. Inspiration, motivation, action, inspiration. That's the order of it. That's how it works. And anybody who has ever procrastinated on a job that they didn't want to do knows the truth of this, because as soon as you drag yourself off the sofa and start, it actually, you feel really good, right? And it's all of the stuff that we've done in the house.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I don't want to go and do this thing that we have to do.
Just start doing that thing. Give it half an hour, and suddenly you're
Really motivated.
cracking on with it.
Yeah, and it feels really good because you're doing something, and that is the way it works. And if you can, like, embed that idea that action has to come first into your head, everything becomes a bit easier. And it's really, really important. So yeah, that's the second reason. The third reason people don't write their book is they think that they have to make this giant grand gesture. Yeah? And it has to be, okay, I need to go away for... I need to go away for a week, say to the sparkling coast of Turkey to write my book. Don't know anyone who's done that.
Yeah.
And this, I'm going to get my book written and blah, blah, blah. And that's not how it works either. I am living proof of that. And I'm also living proof that you can go away for a week and get a book written. But the first time I did it, I was like, I'm going to go away and that's going to be the thing that makes me write my book. But I didn't really know what I was writing about. I didn't really want to write that book at the time. I didn't really know why I was writing it. And so what I wrote was 2,500 words.
And then did some sightseeing.
And then did some sightseeing. And it was nice.
Nice.
But it was not what I went there for. And so, yeah, we think that we need it's grand gestures that are going to get your book written. No. What's going to get the book written, Joe?
Putting the work in. Putting time aside. Checks notes. Tiny beetle steps.
Yes. One of my favourite pieces of advice is just write 200 crappy words a day. Like, everyone can write 200 crappy words a day. They don't even have to be good words. 200 crappy words a day will turn into something awesome, because you'll invariably write more than 200 on most days anyway. And then they will get better and better. And then you can edit them. That's the wonderful thing about writing, is that we're not carving this in tablets of stone.
Yeah.
We're writing 200 crappy words a day. So just write a little bit every day. That's what will get it done. Yes, you can go away for a week. And I did. I went to Lanzarote with a few other writers, and we each got a massive chunk of our books done. Because we went, but that was the difference. I went away with people specifically for that purpose.
With people, with a plan, with a timeline.
Yeah.
Sit down and do the work.
And that was great, and I can thoroughly recommend that. And as soon as we're allowed to see people in person again, I will be running the writing retreats I have so desperately been wanting to run. I was gonna launch those last year. Obviously, that did not happen, but yeah, probably not this year either. But 2022 is going to be the year of the Moxie Books writing retreats, and I cannot fucking wait. It's going to be brilliant. So yeah, so that was reason 1, 2, 3. And then reason 4, actually, I think there's like 4 reasons and then 1 tip. So the 4th reason that I think, I've had this theory, right? I've been talking about this a lot over the last couple of days with Team Moxie. I have a theory that one of the reasons that we don't write our books, and women in particular, is that we're told that we're not allowed to be honest about stuff. Or like there's an implication that we're not allowed to be honest about stuff. And this starts around the dinner table as kids, right? Oh, we're not talking about religion or politics around dinner. We're not talking about money. It's vulgar to talk about money. And there's so many problems with all of that stuff. And like I'm kind of cross with that from my own childhood as well as from others. But it's that typical. It's like, oh, what is polite to discuss around the dinner table? It's like fucking small talk. What? The world doesn't change if we ignore the important stuff. And if you can't have a discussion about politics or religion or race without having a flaming row, then there's something else going on there, you know? And the very idea of not talking about money because it's vulgar is designed to keep people in their places. And so, we don't talk about money. It's like, really? Okay, I wonder if that's because there's maybe a gender pay gap or a race pay gap in companies, which of course there is. And so we're told that we're not supposed to talk about this stuff. We're not supposed to make a ruckus. We're not supposed to make a fuss. We're not supposed to cause a nuisance. And especially women, because we're supposed to be nice to people. And the idea is that we are, we have to be polite and keep the peace and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, hang on a minute. What if there's something wrong with the world and the peace needs to be shook up? Write that book. And I think part of the reason sometimes we don't write a book is we're like, oh, I've got this stuff to say, but, what if it's going to offend people? And it goes even deeper than what if people are not going to like me? I mean, that is a reason. But there's that whole, what am I allowed to talk about? Well, I'm here to give you permission to talk about whatever the fuck you like. If you want to write about something and it's something important and it means something to you, write that book. Don't let society's rules about what we're supposed to talk about and what we're not supposed to talk about stop us. It's really important. And it's something that I've got a whole entire beehive in my bonnet about at the moment. There's the tone policing of women. Tone policing of women in general, and particularly black women. Because we're told that we are angry and aggressive when we simply stand up and say something assertively, or something sometimes even out loud. And this is, you've heard of the angry black woman trope, right? And Yinka gets accused of this all the time. She just literally just opens her mouth to reply. It's like, angry black woman. She's like, I'm not even angry. I'm not even raising my voice.
Yeah, we're talking about the thing you want to talk about.
Yeah, I was like, I'm objecting to something. And there's the whole, you're getting really emotional because you're a woman, calm down. It's like, actually, I was calm until you threw that bullshit at me. Now I'm angry. And I've decided as well that I'm going to be angry more often because, again, that's something that isn't really socially acceptable for women to be. We're not supposed to be angry and shrill and all the rest of it. And moody bitches and all of that kind of stuff. So maybe I shall rebrand. It's like book writing for moody bitches. That's what we shall. That's what we shall do. But yeah, so that was my force. I think is my theory as to why books sometimes don't get written, because we are afraid of rocking the boat. When frankly the boat needs rocking. The boat needs tipping right over and starting again. So write your book, even if it's going to, especially if it's going to piss people off. Because it's probably the people who are going to be pissed off are the ones that need to, move along and make room for some new people. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. What do you think?
Yes.
Just yes.
Yes. Checks notes. Yes.
That's not on the notes.
Joe agrees.
That is not on the notes. Oh, do you think that, as a theory, do you think that is a reasonable theory?
I think it's reasonable, yeah. I think it's reasonable. I also think that, democracy itself is based on being challenged. It needs to be challenged. If it's not challenged, then it's not democratic.
No.
We need people to fight all sides of the argument.
I have so many thoughts about this. I think we're going to have to do an entire podcast on this alone, but a couple of things that have struck me, and I've got a couple of friends who are Russian, and they're very blunt, right? Very blunt, to the point of, to our Western sensibilities, almost sounds rude. And I know that some people do find them rude. And I read in a book the other day a theory that this is because in communist Russia, the most valuable currency was trust, and you had to know who you could trust and who you couldn't trust. So there was none of this sugarcoating stuff that we do in the West. It's like, being nice and, keeping the peace and all the rest of it. People were really honest with each other about where they stand, where they were, and it came out of communism. And this was from a Russian person talking, and they were like, that was their theory on it. And so it comes across very blunt to the Western world, but actually all it is honesty. And the reason that we don't do that is because there's a couple of aspects to it, and one of them is that we believe that we're entitled to feel good all the time, and hurting people's feelings or rejecting, rejection, that kind of thing it's hurtful. It's like, it doesn't feel very good, and it's this belief that we're entitled to feel good all the time, which is unrealistic and unhealthy. And so that's why we try really hard to be nice. And not to rock the boat and not to make waves, and a fear of being attacked, which, by the way, is how the British media operate. That's if you look at how they treat Meghan and Harry, for example. As soon as Meghan and Harry speak up about the bullshit that they have to deal with, the media goes straight on the attack, and that is that entire dynamic in play. And I think that is part of the reason that certainly the white Western world finds it really, really difficult to deal with confrontation and argument and debate. And I've heard black people say the same thing as well, that they find it quite difficult to deal with white people because we just avoid the issue and we obfuscate, and there's this...
We don't say what we mean and we shuffle around it and we...
Yeah, and there's this need to always be liked, and I just found that really interesting because I was like, I know I do that because I've been conditioned to do so, and I really try hard to break out of it. Like, I don't want to deliberately upset or offend anybody, but I also don't think that people should be so easily upset or offended by the truth. And there's this,
or put off saying what they mean.
Or put off saying what they mean, yeah. And, my Facebook feed is a really good example of this. The silence in the face of the Black Lives Matter movement from literally most of the people I know was was very loud. And it was because nobody wants to make waves. Nobody wants to say something that might upset somebody or offend somebody. And that can't be the way. The world will not change that way, you know? And that is how the status quo continues. And for a lot of, you know, for most people, the status quo is working just fine. So why would they want to change it? And it does take an act of will, and not even courage, but just an act of will. And yeah, just say the thing that needs to be said. Rock the boat, you know? It's like the people who are going to be, the people, that old saying, the people who matter won't mind, and the people who mind don't matter. I don't know. Thoughts. Thoughts tumbling out of my head. But all of them relevant to writing books and the reasons that I do what I do, and why I want to be the place that people can come to with a book that wouldn't get published maybe by one of the other traditional white-owned publishing houses, because I know people who have had their books completely changed, have had them bought and completely changed and whitewashed to make them more palatable or whatever. I would never do that to a writer. I would never do that to a writer. And that's one of the reasons that I want to set up my publishing house and do what I want to do, because people need to be able to speak without being censored. They just do. And that's my mission, my aim. I will be a place for angry people who have every right to be angry and want to change the world for the better. So yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, if any of those things kind of have been, if you've ever said I don't have time, and then any of those things I've just said have maybe resonated a bit and made you think, oh, maybe it's not that I don't have time. Maybe I don't have clarity or permission, or I've misinterpreted what I need, what action and inspiration is. And, you know, maybe I need to make a grand gesture and don't know the power of habit. Maybe start writing your book. I am hereby bestowing upon you the permission that you don't need, but I'm giving it to you anyway, to start writing the book that matters to you. And I was going to go through a load of tools and prompts, but I'm not going to now because we've run out of time. So I hope you enjoyed that reissue of The 5 Reasons Writers Don't Write. If any of those things resonated with you, give me a shout. In fact, even better, come to the 4th Moxie Books FWrite Night, which is happening on Thursday, October 28th at 7:30 p.m. UK time. It's basically an evening of awesomeness. There's going to be 4 writing sessions. The evening is going to be divided into 4 writing sessions. Before we start, you'll be setting intentions and goals for each writing session. You can ask me anything. You can get to know your fellow Fright Nighters, and in between there will be writing games and prompts, a little bit of stretching so that we don't get stuck into kind of that hunched writing position, and you get to meet some really, really wonderful people, have a chat with them. There have been some amazing collaborations come out of these Write Nights in the past, and I always get really excited about them. So if you fancy coming along and writing in community and getting just a whole load of stuff done, come and join us at Fright Night next week. Go to www.moxiebooks.co.uk/Write Night, and I would love to see you there. Otherwise, I will see you again this time next week. Hopefully Joe will be back. If you like this podcast, go to iTunes and subscribe. It helps us to climb the rankings, or go to Stitcher or wherever you get your podcast from and subscribe there. Leave us a review, please. It helps more people find us. 5 stars. Or share it with someone if you know somebody who will enjoy it. Send them a link. If you've listened to every single episode of this podcast, email me with your postal address and I will send you a special gift, because that's amazing. Otherwise, I'll see you next week. Thank you so much for listening. Really appreciate you sharing a portion of your day with me. Thank you to Harriet, who helps me to get this podcast out, and thank you to everyone at Podfly who makes it sound awesome. Ta-ta!
Thanks for listening. You can find links and show notes on the website at moxiebooks.co.uk/podcast, where you can also sign up for the best daily emails in the multiverse and find loads of free resources to help you write your book. We'll be back the same time next week with more tales from the book writing trenches and the latest on what the tiny sheeps have been up to.